Hey, what's up guys? My name is Michael Westbrook, and today we're taking a look at a brand new pedal from PolyEffects. This is Ample. Ample is PolyEffects' entrance into the standalone amp in a box market. When it comes to these kinds of devices, there are two main schools of thought. We have modelers, that's things like the Line 6 Helix series or the Strymon Iridium. And then we also have capture devices, that's things like Kemper, Quad Cortex, or Tonex. Ample is the latter, but it varies in a pretty significant way. It is a set number of amps, set number of captures that come preloaded, and as of now, there's no way to change those. Obviously, there are pros and cons to this, but I think for some folks who are tired of menu diving or tired of software and hooking their pedals up to their computer, or for tone amp purists who are looking to dive into the digital world but feel overwhelmed by all the options and software, this is going to be a welcomed change. Ample is plug and play, and I will say it sounds great. The captures on here sound incredible, and there are lots of different options. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at Ample. We're going to obviously hear some sounds. I'm going to walk you through the basic features and basic navigation. This should serve as a bird's eye view of Ample and what to expect from it. If you want more info, there will be links down below. All right, let's get into it. Let's take a closer look at some of the features here on the pedal. One of the most obvious is that it doesn't have knobs, it's just a touch screen. So to adjust parameters, you just drag up and down or tap on different things to select them. There are 7 different categories of amps and then 8 amps per category. This is an on and off switch here. This is a foot selectable boost here. For our parameters on the front page, we have gain, volume, bass, and treble. And then if we want to go to a secondary page, this turns into boost amount, the brightness of the LEDs, a mid control, and then it has a stereo room reverb, and this adjusts the mix. On the back, it looks like that this is just mono in and out, but it's actually stereo. We've got TRS jacks. We can go stereo in and out or mono in and stereo out. But the biggest thing about this is that this runs stereo captures. So that means that we can have different amps on left and right side. I'm not sure of a pedal at this price point and this size that is using capture tech that will run stereo amp. So that's pretty awesome. We also have MIDI in and out if you wanted to integrate MIDI into changing presets or settings or anything like that. There is a USB-C port here for any future updates. I actually had to do one before release and it was super easy. I just used a jump drive and plugged it in. And then we just are using standard 9-volt power. So I usually don't do this, but I did want to show you guys a little bit of the manual here just because it looks great, but it's super helpful. This is pictures and short descriptions of all of the 56 different amps, just what to expect from each amp a little bit, kind of what they're known for, just, you know, info about the amps. But I've really enjoyed kind of looking at this and having it out while I'm navigating the pedal, not only because it's useful, but it just looks great. And, you know, seeing pictures of the vintage amps or the different amps that I haven't seen before is just a lot of fun. All right, let's take a closer look and listen at the Ample. I have my guitar from Sugar hooked up. This has 2 Mojotone PAF style pickups in it. One thing I want to point out is that I think overall they did a really good job of kind of matching general EQ between all of the amps. You know, obviously there are going to be some that are darker or brighter, but overall I feel like they're pretty close, and I think that could be something really tricky to really nail when you're dealing with this many amps, this many captures. But we'll take a listen through all of the different clean models. Obviously, I have selected the category clean here, and then I will start on amp 1, and then I'll go through the 8 different amps. Obviously, the EQ on all of those is slightly different. They all have their own characteristics, but generally speaking, there's nothing too far out of whack. They all serve as kind of a good starting point. If we did want to adjust anything with them, right now I am on the Three Monkeys Grease Monkey. That's number 8 here. I would just slide this to adjust the treble. So maybe back that off a touch, see what that sounds like. Now, if I wanted to go to the secondary controls, then I would just tap on 8 again, and then now this becomes a mid control. And then this becomes a room reverb. We'll just turn that all the way up, see what it sounds like. Now, I mentioned this earlier, we also have control over the brightness of the LEDs and the boost. I believe early in this video, I got this mixed up actually. Volume is the control for the boost that's controlled by foot switch A here. And then the gain control is actually the brightness of the LEDs. I have that turned down a little bit just so it shows up better on video. Obviously, a lot of boost on tap there. Now, another thing that's handy, especially because it's a kind of a touch control, touch screen here, is that we have a fine control. Now, if we want to enter that, then we just hit this logo right here and we hold it. And now we are in the fine control. So this kind of gives us a little more precise control over the different values. And then we just hit the corresponding number again to get out of that. I'm going to jump around and we'll check out some of the other amps. I want to show you guys maybe some of my favorite amps here. I really like this one on the crunch setting. Number 4 is the Victory Sheriff 44. I'll also say here that, you know, the limiting thing about having set captures is that in some ways you kind of get what you get. Obviously, you have the ability to turn the gain up or down, but there's only so much you can do with that. And I do feel like with some of these, I wish there was a little more gain from certain amps. And when you turn the gain all the way up, it feels as though to me that you're almost starting to push the limits and things get a little noisier, especially on the treble as well. When you get that treble all the way up, it really seems to accentuate the noise a little more so than maybe the real amp would. I'm not sure. It just feels like it's maybe pushing it to kind of the limit of being able to tweak the capture when you get to those far extremes. I feel like especially in this crunch category, there are some of the amps that are definitely more on the cleaner side than I would think of. I wouldn't necessarily describe them as crunch. They actually Pauly describes the crunch category as edge of breakup and beyond. Edge of breakup might be kind of a more fitting term there than crunch, just because, like, for instance, number 1 here is a Fuchs ODS 100, kind of a Dumble thing, and it's pretty clean in my opinion. And turn the gain up a little bit, see where we get there. I mean, that's pretty crunchy there, but again, we're almost all the way up on the gain. I want to check out some more of my favorites here. I really like on the Classic USA, we have a 56 Vibrolux that's #1. I really dig this amp. One other thing that I would say about this section in particular, the Classic USA category, is I feel like there's kind of a lot of overlap in this category. We have a dual Showman from Fender, but then we also have a twin reverb. A Showman is essentially a head version of a twin reverb. That's not to say that they sound exactly the same, but I wouldn't have minded maybe some more tweed options, maybe a 5E3, maybe a tweed Bassman. I feel like this category could have a few, some things that were a little different that offered a little bit more variety, but that's just me being picky. Another really cool amp that's available on here is in the Classic UK section. The #1 is a Watkins Dominator. I've actually played one of these in a studio, though it's been a while. They're just kind of a very unique, quirky kind of amp. So really cool that they were able to include that on this. Of course, in this category too, we have an AC30, which I'm sure is going to be really popular for a lot of folks. Obviously, we could spend a lot of time going through all of the different amps and the available sounds, but I want to get to some more of the features. I want to talk about it being able to run stereo captures or run a different capture on each side. To get to this feature, you are going to triple tap this icon right here. There we go. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries there. So when this is that kind of bluish white color, that means that you are using the same capture on both sides. And then if you want to tap another one there, then we have on the orange, I believe orange is the right side and the purple is the left side. Now we are using two different captures. I'm actually going to go to the Benson so that the Benson is on one side and the Vox AC30 is on the other. So if you're using headphones, you'll definitely notice the volume comes up on that right side. So that's orange is the right side, purple is the left. And then if I want to adjust the other amp, then I just hit this icon and that turns as purple, which means I'm on the other amp, which currently is set to the AC30. And again, I could go in with the fine control and kind of control those a little more precisely, obviously, balance out the volumes a little more, adjust the gain. One other thing I want to take a listen to, just because I have mostly been playing some of the cleaner amps, is to go to some more of the overdriven ones in this destroy category right here. Actually, let's get back to a single amp. Go destroy. Now, these are all kind of high gain amps. There's an Engel, Peavey 5150, Bogner. Again, more big overdrive tones. There's a Friedman here. And from what I remember, let's check and see, but this one isn't super high gain. Obviously, there's some gain there, but, you know, nothing like the 5150. Or let's check out the Bogner. I might have mentioned this before, but I do think one of the downsides to capture bass tech is that you're somewhat limited. And so, you know, because these have been pre-chosen, you might not necessarily be able to get the exact tones from an amp that you're looking at. For instance, here, there's a, in the Gen X category on amp 2, there is a JCM 800, which sounds like this, just stock when you pull it up. Now, that doesn't sound bad. It might be a touch bright, especially for this guitar, which is a little chimier, but it's not necessarily what a lot of people think of when they think of JCM 800. So again, we can turn the gain up, but you might not be able to get exactly what you're looking for based on just the name of the amp or what your expectations might be of that amp. Overall, I'm really impressed with this thing. I think that it rides a great line between offering incredible sounds and options, but keeping it simple. I think people out there who don't necessarily want to get into the computer and software side of modern capture tech will really love this pedal. It's plug and play, and it offers a wide variety of sounds. From clean to overdrive to really overdriven, really unique tones, really unique amp captures. Again, as I mentioned before, there are pros and cons when it comes to capture tech as far as things being limited, but that's not always a bad thing. And I think there are plenty of options on this thing to keep just about anybody happy. Unfortunately, I can't cover everything on the new Ample in this video, including all of the sounds. We didn't talk about presets, we didn't talk about MIDI implementation, all of that. So if you want more info, definitely check the links below. As always, thank you guys for watching. Big thank you to Poly for having me on this release. I've been loving checking this out, as well as the verbs that they sent me. It's their convolution reverb pedal. Definitely be on the lookout for a video on that in the future. All right, until next time, I'll see you out there.